The reason why I felt in love with the path of Nichigong is quite simple actually. I was not attracted, as I said in many videos, I don't know if you watch them, that of those superpowers, let's say, of the ability of emitting chi, even though it's a quite interesting thing and really transform life in the sense that the ability of staying connected and manipulate that energy brings a profound change. But actually, the reason why I felt in love with the path was actually because it transformed my life as a human being on a mental, emotional and physical level. Because we can imagine a human being like this. The human being is a unity, right? I'm gonna separate it for sake of convenience. There is a mental level, there is an emotional level, and there is a body level. And these three centers are actually the three main Dan Tians, the lower Dan Tian, the middle Dan Tian, and the higher Dan Tian, also called third eye in certain tradition, which is not a superficial point here, it's actually inside our head. When we work with Nichigong, actually, we have the possibility of working with these centers. So balancing the energies that operate them. We can see the body as a more dense experience, then we can move to the emotion as something that is more subtle, less definable in a way, and then even we can go higher to thoughts that are even less dense than emotions. So when we work in the path of Nichigong with the practices, although one practice cannot be just for dealing with one thing, because as I said, the human being is a unity. So even though we are approaching, we are doing a practice that is more physical, at the same time we're working with all the other centers. But let's say that in the path of Nichigong you have practices, I'm just going to say this for sake of understanding and convenience for the teachings. You have practices that work more with the body, other ones that work more with emotions, other ones that work more with the mind. And the purpose ultimately is getting to a stage where the human being finally is completely reintegrated, so it is a whole. There is no more discrepancy between what I think, what I feel and what I do. Most of the time usually we operate with a kind of inner war which is quite real. We can verify if we observe ourselves. We feel something, we think something else, and we act in a different way. Well, the path of Nichigong has main goal, at least for me, has the possibility of aligning all these centers so that finally the human being can act as a unity with no separation between himself or herself and the world. Which put into words, it's quite a theoretical concept, but actually it's a practical experience that can be achieved if there is practice and meditation applied to it. As I said, we have three different centers, and these centers are regulated by a different manifestation of the energy. The energy is one, as life is one at the end of the day. We separate things because things appear to be separated, but really there is an interconnection between everything. The reason why I loved the path since the beginning was because I was coming from a spiritual background. I was looking for mystical experiences. I was trying to find that something more that was driving my search, my constant search in life. And progressively, the more I practiced, I started to realize that I wasn't looking for anything anymore. That myself was changed, and I'm a different man. Respect when I started the path, and I have to work still on myself. I keep on working, but for sure, especially in hard times, especially when life gets tough, because let's be frank about it, life is a quite complex experience. It's not just ups, there are also the downs and the difficulties and everything. And this kind of, especially in this time, we know that. And this kind of transformation that keeps on taking place within myself by practicing Nei Qi Gong is actually allowing me to live a more balanced life with more balanced emotions, with more control, let me use this word, even though it's the opposite on your thinking, in the sense that there is a detachment from the content of the mind. So those thoughts before were affecting me now are kind of populating my experience, but not really creating a huge impact in the way that I operate in the world. And even a big change in the body. I mean, the fact and the possibility of experiencing this energy that many people talk about energy, but I don't know many people actually achieve such level of energy experience that Nichigong is able to give to practitioner. Really transform the way that we experience our body, from a very simple thing that we become much more aware of each body components, which is already a big achievement, something that can really be achieved from the very beginning, from the first practices. But then the more we start to practice, actually we realize that there is a more subtle level than this dense experience manifestation that we see, that is possible to connect with, and things start to become quite interesting. Of course, there is a need for dedication and practice, but it's not that much. If you think about that, 40 minutes per day, 50 minutes per day, at maximum 1 hour when you are or doing advanced stuff, it's nothing compared to people spending their lives most of the time practicing Qigong or other forms of energy practices and not really getting in touch with this experience of life. So what I want to tell in this video is basically that although it's interesting to achieve those Qi manifestations and being able to emit Qi, all those kind of stuff, but for me actually the big value and the real deal and big change that happened in my life, it keeps on happening, it's actually a transformation of my whole experience as a human being, as a unity on all these different levels. So removing the discrepancy and acting in life in a more clear and precise way, and even on a practical level, I'm talking about practical stuff, which could be relationship, business, creative endeavors, all those kind of things. They achieved a level of higher expression because I managed to be more determined, resilient, persistent, believing in myself, not being broken by life and being thrown away by the constant changing experience that we live as human being, which is undeniable. It's a really complex thing. Unless we really gather some kind of strong center inside our self, life is a quite challenging thing. It could really throw us from one side to the other very easily and in a matter of days, of seconds. And we know this because we are in coronavirus time, so the whole world kind of went upside down. So for me that's the real deal, and I encourage people to see and to understand more. And maybe with this video the purpose was actually mentioning a bit more the principles or the working process that happens about these three main centers that are regulated by, let's say, a different manifestation of energy, but that they belong to the human being, and balancing them means bringing a human being to a stable and more efficient way and more clear way to deal with life. So my hope is that you want to explore this possibility a bit more and check the website and see if it resonates with you. It's not a product, so please, although I'm on the web and I'm shooting these videos and I'm talking about this stuff, don't see this thing as just another scam thing on the web. It's another thing. If you decide to start, you will become my students. I will follow you personally. We will be connected on WhatsApp. So on a daily basis, I mean, you really have support. You can go for now on the website if you didn't visit it yet. There is a possibility of learning 2 basic exercises, which are not the path of Nichigong yet, but they give a little thing into the whole thing. Actually, one of the 2 exercises, well, both of them, they are used as preparatory practice before actually kicking into the Nichigong practices themselves. So they are quite valuable, they are quite simple, and you can practice them even when you're queuing at the supermarket. It's a good way of centering yourself and creating that anchor in the present moment that it's really necessary, especially in this time that we're really being shaken by life, because it's a strong thing that is moving society and humanity in general. So please go there and check them out if you want. If you have further questions, you can always contact me. If you've been following the blog or the YouTube channels or the Facebook page, you know that for people who are seriously interested, we can just talk about this stuff and see if the path resonates with you. And we will see if there is a possibility of learning together, and then we can move on. We can do live classes on Zoom, as I do, with GoPros and lavalier microphones. It's just great, and I'm super happy to see actually how empathic the situation can be, and how I don't want to say that we feel we are almost in the same room, but we're really super engaged when we do the class, and you don't feel that kind of separation. So I look forward possibly to meet you and to explain you more, because I think that there's nothing more valuable, especially right now, to plant a seed for growth, internal growth. That is really what it is needed, because the world doesn't need a revolution, doesn't need any kind of change externally, because external change, they last a little bit and then they go away. So the only way of really bringing a contribution to society is turning ourselves into the better version that we are. And I want to say something about this, because actually the interesting thing about Nichigong is that it's not a system of beliefs. It doesn't turn you into a specific kind of model of person. In my case, and I guess in many cases, I didn't talk to many people personally about this aspect. It's actually a flowering of your own selves. So if you work in the bank, you will be working better in the bank. If you're an artist like I am, you will be producing better stuff. It really helps to remove all those layers without believing into some kind of concept, because I think this is the problem of many religion and maybe many spiritual paths, that you need to embrace new concepts, new ideas, so you just become another mask of yourself rather than getting straight to the point, to the core. And the path of Nichigong, I think, has that possibility of removing and balancing the being, so that ultimately you can express yourself in the world in a better way and achieve your full potential. Because if we are here, we want to drive this car at maximum speed, let's say, but with full control on it. So I hope you are interested about finding out more. And as I said at the beginning earlier, you can get in contact if you want to talk more about this thing, understanding a bit the principles. Even though on the website you will find the full description of the method and how it works, but I'm here available for people who are interested to talk and understand more.